I stood in the parking lot of Sterling and Associates Marketing, my laptop bag hanging from my shoulder, watching Michael walk Chelsea to his car. My car, the silver Audi I'd bought 3 years ago when our company landed its first six-figure client. She was wearing my blazer. The navy one with the pearl buttons that I'd left on my office chair that morning before the meeting. The security guard wouldn't meet my eyes when he handed me the cardboard box. 10 years of work in 14 inches of cheap corrugated cardboard. My diplomas, my awards, the photo of my team at the Cannes Lions ceremony. The succulent plant my assistant had given me last Christmas was already wilting. "Miss Chen, I'm sorry," Marcus said quietly. He'd been working this building since we moved in 5 years ago. "Mr. Sterling said you're not allowed back on the property." "Mr. Sterling. Not Michael. Not your husband. Mr. Sterling." I watched Michael open the passenger door for Chelsea. She laughed at something he said, touching his arm the way I used to before we built this company together. Before he started working late every Thursday. Before I found the receipt for the hotel room charged to our business account. "It's okay, Marcus." My voice came out steady. Steadier than I felt. "I understand you're just doing your job." The box had a coffee stain on one corner. From this morning. This morning, when I'd walked into the conference room with the pitch deck I'd spent 3 months developing, ready to present to our biggest potential client. This morning, when Michael had stood up, smiled at the board members, and said, "I'm afraid there's been a change in leadership direction." I'd thought he meant the pitch. I'd thought he was going to suggest revisions to my campaign strategy, the one targeting millennial mothers, the demographic we'd been trying to crack for 2 years. The one I'd researched, analyzed, and built from the ground up while he golfed with potential investors. Instead, he'd meant me. "Lisa's contributions to this company have been valuable," he'd said, like I was a summer intern instead of the co-founder. "But as we scale, we need someone with more, and strategic vision. Effective immediately, I'm assuming full creative control, and Chelsea will be stepping into the role of creative director." Chelsea, who'd been with us for 8 months, who'd never led a campaign in her life, who was 27 and blonde and didn't wear a wedding ring. The board had looked uncomfortable. Janet from accounts had actually started to object, but Michael had cut her off with that smile, the one that had convinced me to marry him 9 years ago, the one that had convinced investors to give us our seed funding. "This isn't personal," he'd said, looking right at me. "It's business." Then security had appeared. Marcus and another guard I didn't recognize. They'd waited while I gathered my things from my office, watching to make sure I didn't take anything that belonged to the company. As if I would steal from my own company. As if Sterling and Associates hadn't been my idea in the first place. Born in our apartment in Brooklyn when we were still eating ramen and dreaming big. Now, standing in the parking lot with the October wind picking up, I set the box on the hood of my Honda. My phone had been buzzing nonstop since I left the building. Texts from my team, from Janet, from Sarah in graphic design. I couldn't look at them yet. There was only one person I needed to call. My sister answered on the first ring. "He did it," I said. "The company?" Amy's voice was sharp. She was in court mode, the voice she used when she was about to destroy someone's defense. "Everything." He fired me in front of the board. Gave my position to her. "Chelsea?" She was wearing my blazer, Amy. There was a pause. Then, "I'm leaving the office now. Don't go home. Meet me at Mom's." "Amy. Trust me, Lisa. Do not go home. Go to Mom's. I'll be there in 40 minutes. She hung up. I looked back at the building. Our building. The one with our names on the lease, our logo on the glass doors, our dreams in every brick. Through the third-floor windows, I could see people moving around in the conference room. My team. Former team. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a number I didn't recognize. "Mrs. Sterling?" A woman's voice, professional. "This is Amanda from First National Bank. I'm calling about some unusual activity on your business accounts." My stomach dropped. "What kind of activity?" "Several large transfers were initiated this morning. I wanted to confirm you authorized these transactions before we." "How much?" "Approximately $340,000 from the operating account and $180,000 from the reserve fund. The transfers were made to an account under Michael Sterling's name only." The parking lot tilted. I grabbed the car hood to steady myself. "Mrs. Sterling? Are you there?" "I didn't authorize anything." "I see." Her tone shifted. In that case, I need to inform you that per your signature on the account agreements, you have the right to freeze these accounts pending investigation. Would you like me to? Yes. Freeze everything. Now. I'll initiate the freeze immediately. You'll need to come in to file a formal fraud report. Can you make it to our downtown branch today? I'll be there in an hour. I ended the call and stared at my phone. $500,000. He tried to take $500,000. My hands were shaking when I dialed Amy again. He cleaned out the accounts, I said when she answered. Did you freeze them? Yes, but then he didn't get everything. Lisa, listen to me. This is exactly what we prepared for. Remember 6 months ago when I asked you to sign those papers? 6 months ago. When I'd first found the hotel receipt. When I'd confronted Michael and he'd sworn it was nothing, just a mistake from the booking system, and I'd wanted so badly to believe him. When Amy had sat me down in her office and said, I'm not saying don't trust him. I'm saying protect yourself. The share transfer. I whispered. 60% of Sterling and Associates is in my name as of March 15th. Silent partner agreement, fully legal, filed with the state. He can fire you from your position, but he can't fire you from ownership. And he definitely can't steal from a company he doesn't control. The parking lot came back into focus. Michael was pulling out of his spot now, Chelsea in the passenger seat, probably heading to celebrate. Probably heading to the same hotel where he'd been taking her every Thursday for God knows how long. Amy. I love you. Save it. Get to Mom's. I'm calling David. Your partner? He specializes in corporate fraud. By tomorrow morning, Michael is going to wish he'd just been a regular cheating husband instead of a criminal one. I drove to my mother's house in Westchester, my mind replaying every moment of the last 6 months. Every late meeting, every business trip, every time he'd looked at his phone and smiled before quickly putting it away. Every time I'd felt something was wrong but talked myself out of it because we'd built this company together, because he'd never do this to me, because I'd invested too much to walk away. The succulent plant had fallen over in the box, dirt spilled across my diplomas. Mom was waiting on the porch when I pulled up. She didn't say anything, just pulled me into a hug that smelled like lavender and coffee, the same way she'd hugged me when I was 7 and skinned my knee, when I was 16 and didn't make the soccer team, when I was 23 and my first startup had failed. Amy called, she said. Come inside. I made soup. It was the most mom response possible, and somehow it made me want to cry for the first time since this morning. Amy arrived 30 minutes later with David Chen, no relation, but we'd joked about it when they'd become partners at Morrison and Associates 2 years ago. He was carrying a leather briefcase and wearing the expression I'd seen him use in depositions. Lisa, he said, shaking my hand. I'm sorry we're meeting under these circumstances. Amy's briefed me on the situation. I need to ask you some questions. We sat in Mom's dining room, the same room where Michael and I had celebrated our engagement, where we'd announced we were starting the company, where we'd hosted Thanksgiving every year because my family felt like his family, or so he'd said. David pulled out a legal pad. Let's start with this morning. Walk me through exactly what happened. I told him everything. The meeting, the announcement, the security guards, the phone call from the bank. He took notes in neat, precise handwriting. And you said Chelsea has been with the company 8 months. 7.5. We hired her in March, right around the time you transferred the shares. David looked at Amy. I didn't know about Chelsea then, I said. I found a receipt. February 28th. The Grand Meridian Hotel. Charged to our business Amex. When I asked Michael, he said it was a mistake. Was it a mistake? No. My voice cracked. I checked our expenses last week. He's been charging hotel rooms twice a month since January. Always Thursdays. Always the same hotel. Mom made a sound somewhere between a gasp and a growl. David wrote something down. That's good. That's very good. It establishes a pattern of misuse of company funds, combined with this morning's attempted theft. Attempted? I looked at Amy. You froze the accounts, she said. He initiated the transfers, but they won't clear. The bank will flag them as suspicious activity. So he didn't get the money? Not a cent. And now he's committed bank fraud on top of embezzlement. Amy's smile was sharp. You married an idiot. I married someone I thought I knew. David cleared his throat. I need to know your intentions here. Are we pursuing criminal charges, civil recovery, or both? Both, I said. Everything. Then here's what happens next. Tomorrow morning, I file an emergency motion for a temporary restraining order preventing Michael from accessing any company assets. Simultaneously, we file a complaint with the district attorney's office for fraud, embezzlement, and theft. Amy, as majority shareholder, will call an emergency board meeting to remove Michael from his position as CEO. Can we do that? I asked. Amy pulled out a folder. Board bylaws state that any shareholder with controlling interest can call a vote to remove leadership for cause. Embezzlement qualifies as cause. The board doesn't know I have controlling interest. They will tomorrow. She looked fierce. Michael wanted to play corporate politics. Let's show him how it's done. My phone buzzed. A text from Janet. Lisa, I'm so sorry. We had no idea he was planning this. Half the team is talking about quitting. Then Sarah. This is wrong. He can't just fire you from your own company. Then Marcus, the security guard. He made me give you the box. I wanted you to know I didn't agree with it. You've always been good to us. Mom squeezed my shoulder. Your people know who built that company. David checked his watch. It's 4:30 now. I'm going to spend tonight drafting the motions. Amy, you draft the shareholder notice. Lisa, I need you to compile every piece of evidence you have. Emails, receipts, bank statements, everything. Can you do that? I thought about my laptop, still in the car. About the cloud backups I'd set up 2 years ago when we'd had that ransomware scare. About the expense reports I'd meticulously filed every month because someone had to keep the books organized while Michael was out golfing. I can do that. Good. We meet at my office at 8 tomorrow morning. I want everything filed by noon. After David left, Amy and I sat in Mom's living room with our laptops. Mom kept bringing us coffee and sandwiches we didn't eat. Outside, the sun set orange and pink over the neighborhood where I'd grown up, where I'd learned to ride a bike and dream about the future. I should have seen it, I said. The signs were all there. Don't do that. Amy didn't look up from her screen. Don't make this your fault. He's a cheater and a thief. That's on him. I ignored my instincts. Back in February, I knew something was wrong. And you protected yourself. You signed those papers. That's not ignoring your instincts, that's listening to them. I opened my laptop and started downloading files. Expense reports dating back 2 years, email chains about company strategy. The original business plan I'd written in 2015, with my handwriting in the margins, my vision for what we could build. There was an email from February 27th, the day before the hotel receipt. Michael had written to Chelsea, looking forward to discussing the Henderson campaign tomorrow. Meet at the usual place. I clicked on his sent folder. Months of emails to Chelsea. Not just about work, about reservations and weekend getaways and can't wait to see you. Amy, I said. He's been planning this for a while. She came to look over my shoulder. Her face hardened. Forward me everything. Every single message. My phone rang. Michael. I almost didn't answer. Then Amy nodded, and I hit accept. Lisa. He sounded frustrated. We need to talk. I don't think we do. Don't be dramatic. Look, today was. It was a business decision. Nothing personal. But you're still my wife. And we can work this out. I looked at Amy, who was recording the call on her phone. Work what out, exactly? I know you're upset, but Chelsea really is better suited for. I'm not upset about Chelsea, Michael. I'm upset about the $520,000 you tried to steal from our accounts. Silence. I don't know what you're talking about. First National called me. Unusual activity. Large transfers to an account under your name only. More silence. That's not theft, that's realignment of assets. To an account I don't have access to. Lisa, you're being hysterical. I froze the accounts. All of them. You what? I froze the company accounts pending fraud investigation. So whatever you were planning to do with that money, you can't do it now. His voice changed. Got colder. You don't have the authority to freeze company accounts. Actually, I do. I'm still on all the paperwork, remember? The paperwork from when we founded this company together. You're fired. You don't work there anymore. Being fired from a position doesn't mean I'm not still a shareholder. You own 30%. That's not enough to make unilateral decisions. You're right, I said. Good thing I'm not the only one making decisions. What does that mean? I looked at Amy, who was smiling. It means you should check your email. There's a notice about an emergency board meeting. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Attendance mandatory. A board meeting. You can't call a board meeting. I didn't. The majority shareholder did. I'm the majority shareholder. Actually, I said, you're not. Haven't been since March. Turns out, when I signed those papers my sister gave me, I transferred 60% of my shares to her. Which makes her the majority owner. Which means she can call a board meeting. Which means you need to be there. The silence stretched so long I thought he'd hung up. You can't do this, he finally said. Already did. See you tomorrow, Michael. Don't be late. I hung up. Amy was laughing. Oh my God, his face must be purple right now. He's probably calling his lawyer. Let him. David's better. Mom came in with wine. I'm proud of you, she said, handing me a glass. I haven't done anything yet. You stood up. That's everything. I sipped the wine and looked at my email. Messages from my team were still coming in. Sarah had sent the mock-ups for the Millennial Mother campaign. The one I'd been developing. These are yours, she'd written. Don't let him take credit. That's when it hit me. He'd been planning this for months. Maybe longer. Building a relationship with Chelsea. Positioning her as his protégé, slowly taking over the client relationships I'd built. The campaign I'd developed wasn't just mine. It was good. Really good. And he was going to present it as his tomorrow. As proof that he was the visionary, that the company was better off without me. Amy, I said. The pitch meeting. With Peterson and Associates. It's tomorrow at 2. The one Michael fired you before you could present? He's going to use my campaign. He's going to present it as his own work. Amy's eyes narrowed. Can you prove it's yours? I pulled up my files. Months of research documents, all time-stamped, all in my name. Draft after draft of the campaign strategy, showing the evolution of my ideas. Email chains with my team about the creative direction. Every piece of this has my name on it. My research, my strategy, my vision. Then we make sure the Peterson team knows that. How? She smiled. Leave that to me. That night, I stayed at Mom's. I couldn't go home. Couldn't face the apartment I shared with Michael, the bed we'd slept in, the life we'd pretended to have. Amy stayed too, working on her laptop until midnight. Making calls to people whose names I didn't recognize. I lay in my childhood bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking about all the choices that had led me here. Marrying Michael. Starting the company. Trusting him. Ignoring the signs. But also, talking to Amy. Signing those papers. Protecting myself. My phone buzzed. A text from Janet. Board meeting tomorrow at 10? What's happening? Then Sarah. Michael just sent an all-staff email saying there will be organizational changes announced at the board meeting. Lisa, what's going on? I texted them both. Trust me. Just trust me. The next morning, Amy and I met David at his office at 8 a.m. He had a stack of documents 6 inches high, restraining order, fraud complaint, shareholder notice, bylaws citations, and a motion to remove Michael as CEO. He laid them out like a hand of cards. We file these at the courthouse at 9, serve them at 9:30, and the board meeting starts at 10. He'll walk in thinking he's in control and walk out facing criminal charges. What about the Peterson meeting? I asked. Amy pulled out her phone. I have a friend who works in their HR department. She's going to make sure they know exactly who developed that campaign. That's not enough, I said. I want to be there. Lisa, you can't just show up to a client meeting at a company you've been fired from. I can if the majority shareholder invites me. Amy and David looked at each other. Technically, David said, Amy could invite anyone she wants to the meeting. As majority owner, she has broad authority over company operations. Then I'm going. I looked at Amy. Unless you object, I'll send the invitation right now. At 9:30, we walked into Sterling and Associates. Marcus was at the front desk. His eyes widened when he saw me. Miss Chen, I can't let you. She's with me, Amy said, showing him her shareholder certificate. Amy Chen, majority owner of Sterling and Associates. I'm here for the emergency board meeting. Marcus looked confused but stepped aside. The conference room was already full. Janet, Sarah, the other department heads, all looking nervous. Michael sat at the head of the table, Chelsea beside him. When he saw me, his face went dark red. What is she doing here? I invited her, Amy said, taking a seat. As majority shareholder, I have the right to invite observers to board meetings. You're not the majority shareholder. That's not possible. David set his briefcase on the table. Actually, it is possible. And legal. And documented with the state since March 15th of this year. I have the paperwork if you'd like to review it. Michael stood up. This is ridiculous. I'm calling our lawyer. By all means. David pulled out his phone. While you do that, I'll call the district attorney's office. They're very interested in discussing the $520,000 you attempted to transfer from company accounts yesterday. The room went silent. Janet spoke first. Michael, what is he talking about? Nothing. It's a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? I found my voice. You initiated transfers to a personal account without authorization. That's not a misunderstanding, that's theft. Chelsea put her hand on his arm. Michael, what's going on? He shook her off. This is a setup. Lisa's trying to sabotage the company because I made a business decision she didn't like. The business decision where you fired your wife from the company she founded. Janet's voice was ice. Or the business decision where you gave her position to your girlfriend. Chelsea's eyes went wide. Girlfriend? Michael, you said you were separated. We're not separated, I said. We're married. Still married. Living together. Or we were until yesterday. Sarah stood up. I'm sorry, but I can't work under these conditions. Michael, I quit. Sarah, don't be hasty. I quit too, said Janet. Effective immediately. One by one, my team stood up. All of them. Every person I'd hired, trained, worked beside. They all quit. Michael's face went from red to white. You can't. You have contracts. At-will employment, David said mildly. No contracts. They can quit whenever they want. Amy opened her folder. Which brings us to the first item of business. I'm calling a vote to remove Michael Sterling as CEO for cause being embezzlement, fraud, and gross misconduct. All in favor? Every hand went up. Except Michael's and Chelsea's. Motion passes. Michael, you're fired. You can't do this. Already did. Security will escort you from the building. You have 1 hour to collect your personal items. Anything belonging to the company stays here. Michael looked around the room like he couldn't believe what was happening. Then he looked at me. You planned this. All of it. No, I said. You planned this. I just protected myself. Chelsea stood up. I don't understand. Michael, you said the company was struggling, that we needed to make changes. The company's fine, Janet said. Financially healthy. Growing. The only thing that needed changing was leadership. Chelsea looked at Michael, then at me. I didn't know. He said you were separated, that you'd agreed to step down. He lied, I said. About a lot of things. She grabbed her purse and walked out without another word. Michael started to follow her, but David blocked his path. Before you go, I need to serve you these papers. Restraining order preventing you from accessing company assets, formal fraud complaint, and a notice that the district attorney's office will be contacting you for questioning. You should probably lawyer up. Michael took the papers with shaking hands. He looked at me one more time. I built this company. No, I said. We built it. And then you tried to steal it. There's a difference. Security escorted him out. Marcus gave me a small nod as they passed. The conference room was quiet. Then Amy spoke. Lisa, as majority shareholder, I'd like to nominate you as CEO of Sterling and Associates. I second that, Janet said. All in favor? Every hand went up. Motion passes. Congratulations, you're rehired. I looked around the room at my team, at my sister, at the company I'd built and nearly lost. Thank you, I said. All of you. But before we celebrate, we have a pitch meeting at 2. And I have a campaign to present. Sarah smiled. Our campaign, I agreed. The Peterson meeting went perfectly. I presented the Millennial Mother campaign with my team beside me, showed them the research and strategy and creative vision. They signed that afternoon. A 3-year contract worth $1.2 million. The next day, the local business journal ran a story. Shakeup at Sterling and Associates, co-founder returns as CEO after fraud allegations. Michael's photo was in the article. Below it was mine, with the caption, Lisa Chen, who founded Sterling and Associates in 2015, resumes leadership after shareholder vote. My phone rang constantly, other clients wanting to know if the company was stable, if their campaigns were safe. I spent 3 days doing damage control, reassuring everyone that Sterling and Associates was stronger than ever. The criminal charges moved forward. The district attorney's office was very interested in Michael's expense reports, his email chains with Chelsea, his attempted wire transfers. David said it was one of the most clear-cut cases of corporate fraud he'd ever seen. He documented everything, David told me. Every meal with Chelsea on the company card, every hotel room, every transfer. He thought he was untouchable. 2 weeks later, I went back to our apartment. Michael had already moved out. There was a note on the kitchen counter. I'll have my lawyer contact yours about the divorce. I looked around at the life we'd built together. The furniture we'd picked out, the photos on the walls, the coffee maker we'd bought when we'd first started the company and needed caffeine to survive. None of it felt like mine anymore. I called a realtor that afternoon. By the end of the month, the apartment was sold. I moved into a loft in Brooklyn, the same neighborhood where Sterling and Associates had started, where we dreamed our dreams before they turned into nightmares. Amy helped me move. We sat on the floor of my new place, eating pizza from the box, surrounded by unpacked boxes. How are you doing? She asked. Honestly, better than I thought. I took a bite of pizza. The company's doing well. We landed 2 more clients this week. Sarah's developing a new campaign that's going to be incredible. And Michael? Arraigned yesterday. Trials set for January. I mean, how are you doing about Michael? I thought about it. I'm angry. I'm hurt. I'm sad about what we could have been. But I'm not broken. He tried to break me, and I'm not broken. No, Amy said, raising her wine glass. You're definitely not broken. 3 months later, the trial ended. Michael pleaded guilty to embezzlement and fraud. He got 2 years in prison and a fine of $500,000. The judge's statement was scathing. You abused your position, betrayed your partner's trust, and attempted to steal from the company your wife built. This court has no sympathy for such calculated deception. I didn't go to the sentencing. I was at the office, working on our expansion plans. Sterling and Associates was growing faster than ever. We'd hired 15 new people. We'd won 3 industry awards. And we'd changed the name. Not Sterling and Associates anymore. Just Chen and Associates. Because it had always been mine. It had always been my vision, my work, my heart. I'd just been sharing credit with someone who didn't deserve it. On the 1-year anniversary of the day Michael fired me, my team threw a party. We celebrated in the conference room where it had all fallen apart and come back together. Janet made a toast to Lisa, who taught us that real strength isn't about never falling down. It's about getting back up and taking what's yours. I looked around at the faces of my team, my sister, my mom who'd driven in from Westchester. At the company I'd built and rebuilt. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I'm sorry. For everything. Michael. I deleted it without responding. Some apologies come too late. Some betrayals can't be forgiven. And some people don't deserve a second chance. But I'd learned something through all of this. I'd learned to trust my instincts, to protect myself, to value the people who stood by me when everything fell apart. I'd learned that loyalty matters more than love, that documentation beats trust, and that real strength isn't loud or dramatic. Real strength is quiet. It's signing papers your sister gives you even when you hope you'll never need them. It's freezing accounts when you want to believe there's an explanation. It's standing in a conference room with your team and taking your company back. The party wound down. Amy stayed to help me clean up. You did it, she said, throwing away paper plates. You survived. We did it, I corrected. I couldn't have done this without you. That's what sisters are for. I looked at the company logo on the wall. Chen and Associates. My name. My work. My future. Yeah, I said. That's exactly what sisters are for. Outside, the city lights sparkled against the dark sky. Tomorrow, I'd present another campaign. Next week, we'd interview candidates for 2 new positions. Next month, we'd move into a bigger office space. But tonight, I stood in the conference room of the company I'd built twice, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time.
I'm freezing. I'm bleeding. Slowly fading away. But don't worry, I'm fine. The cold has settled in my heartbeat, like winter living in my veins. Every breath feels numb and fragile. Every smile just hides the pain. I'm breaking quietly in silence, falling slow without a sound. Yet I keep saying I'm okay, while my world burns to the ground. I'm frozen here, I'm bleeding slowly, dying piece by piece inside. But I still whisper, it's alright, just to keep you from goodbye. I'm shattered, love, but don't you worry, I'll pretend till my last breath. Even while my soul is fading, I'll say everything's okay. Maybe pain just learned to live here. Maybe sorrow feels like home. So I wear my wounds like armor and survive them all alone. I'm frozen here, I'm bleeding slowly, dying piece by piece inside. But I still whisper, it's alright, just to keep you from goodbye. I'm shattered, love, but don't you worry, I'll pretend till my last breath. Even while my soul is fading, I'll say everything's okay. If you ever see me smiling, no, it's just my last defense. 'Cause sometimes love means hiding how much you're suffering. No, I'm frozen here, I'm bleeding slowly, dying piece by piece inside. But I still whisper, it's alright, just to keep you from goodbye. I'm shattered, love, but don't you worry, I'll pretend till my last breath. Even while my soul is fading, I'll say everything's okay. It's okay. Don't pity me. My heart doesn't need your mercy. I can still stand on my own. I was broken by your leaving, fell deeper than I thought I would. But pain has taught me how to heal now and survive what once I couldn't. You don't have to look back sadly, don't reach out with guilty hands. What you shattered made me stronger. Now I rise where I once collapsed. My heart doesn't need your pity, not another empty sign. I've got enough strength left within me to rebuild this life of mine. My feet are steady through the sorrow, I can stand through all the pain. You don't have to save me, darling, I'll learn to breathe again. I once begged for your affection, now I've learned my worth in scars. And the man you left in pieces found his own way through the dark. not another empty sign. I've got enough strength left within me to rebuild this life of mine. My feet are steady through the sorrow. I can stand through all the pain. You don't have to save me, darling. I'll learn to breathe again. Begun. My heart doesn't need your pity, not another empty sign. I've got enough strength left within me to rebuild this life of mine. My feet are steady through the sorrow. I can stand through all the pain. You don't have to save me, darling. I'll rise alone again. I'll rise alone